Hello everybody and welcome back to For Real. It's Wednesday, so that means it's time for this week's News Moto. Before we get started, a reminder to you to please subscribe, like and comment. This really helps us a lot because doing these things increases the reach of our videos. YouTube uses these things to decide if the video is suggested to more viewers. We're for real about this. Any money we earn from YouTube we give back to charities in Cambodia. You don't have to donate anything other than your time, and since you're already here, let's get started. Up first is the current COVID situation here in Cambodia. High numbers of imported cases caused renewed concern for Cambodia as new cases outpaced recoveries for the first time this week. Following yesterday's record number of imported cases, another high number highlighted the danger to Cambodia of the Delta variant of COVID-19, as the national case total passed the 69,000 mark. Today's daily total of new cases was 812, bringing Cambodia's grand total to 69,608. Cambodia also announced 19 new deaths, bringing the total to 1,168. This marks the first time daily deaths have been below 20 for many weeks. Cambodia's main concern at the moment is the continued spike in imported cases. 279 imported cases were reported today, raising fears of the Delta variant that these imported cases may bring. Hundreds of cases are being reported daily, imported from Cambodia's neighbours as migrant workers stream across the border from Thailand. As the Delta variant rapidly spreads across the World Health Organization has warned that due to the virulence of this variant, the situation could get worse. That's a good one, isn't it? Virulent variant. The Delta variant is at least 2 times more transmissible, and it can infect a person within 15 seconds of contact. The WHO warned if the rate of community transmission is not suppressed, more cases and deaths should be anticipated in the coming days and weeks. Some hospitals are already overwhelmed, especially in their ICU capacities. A Ministry of Health spokesperson said that the World Health Organization has not yet confirmed nor advised the usage of mixing and administering 2 different types of COVID vaccines. They also recently issued a ban on the use of mixed vaccines. Some vaccines are similar and some are different. Some are DNA or RNA of a virus or part of a virus to be adapted to produce a vaccine, and if it is different and then put together, there may be reactions, and the reaction can have both good and bad effects. But what does all this mean? I guess you could say it's a bit like the Hulk with both good and bad effects. The Cambodian government has now changed the length of time between the first dose and the second dose of the vaccines for both the Sinopharm and Sinovac vaccines. It used to be 14 days, but now they have decided that the length of time between will be 21 days. Also recently, the Prime Minister Hun Sen has announced that 12 to 17-year-olds will now receive COVID vaccines. This is expected to start in late July, and it is being called the Blossom Project. The vaccinations would start in Phnom Penh and Kandal and then move to Sihanoukville and other provinces, most likely following the approach taken with the previous vaccine rollout. The Cambodian Higher Education Association has announced it is hoping that some schools will reopen by September or October when Cambodia reaches the goal of 10 million vaccinations. Hopefully this will mean a strong demand for teachers in the coming months, meaning that those of you wanting to come over here to teach will have plenty of options once the borders open. The mantle of the oldest person to get a vaccination in Cambodia has been snatched from the hands of the previous 100-year-old woman and awarded to Chen Miech, a 102-year-old Cambodian lady. She received the COVID-19 vaccination shot at a vaccination centre in Siem Reap's Riel village. She told doctors and the vaccination team that although she was 102 years old, she wanted to get vaccinated to protect her from the virus and prolong her life. She urged her children to bring her to be vaccinated. We also hope she lives to at least 130. Peng Suan, a 67-year-old woman who is a farmer living in Kampot province, has become the lucky 6 millionth person to receive the vaccine. She will receive 10 million Riel, or $2,450 for being the lucky 6 millionth vaccinated person. Well done. All we got was a band-aid and a sore arm. In some breaking news about the quarantine situation, no, you still have to do it, unfortunately, but it may have just gotten a little bit more luxurious. The Courtyard Phnom Penh, operated by the international Marriott chain, has listed a 14-night package starting from $1,980 for inbound travellers. They're advertising this package on their website. Under the slogan Quarantine in Comfort, the package offers breakfast, lunch and dinner, private airport transfer, medical services throughout your quarantine, 2 COVID-19 tests, and a 24-hour certified nurse on site. At the moment, travellers have no choice of which hotel they spend their 14 days quarantine in. It's the luck of the draw. There have been many complaints about the mystery bus policy, as well as complaints about the quality of accommodation offered. It's called the mystery bus because everyone gets on and nobody knows where they're going until they get there. We inquired about this deal at the hotel, and as of the 20th of July, they hadn't had full government authorisation to operate as a quarantine site yet. They've jumped the gun a bit by advertising the quarantine package on their website, I think. Over 100 people were arrested, including 87 foreign nationals, all Chinese, at a 12-storey condo in Phnom Penh. The raid on the undercover nightclub was due to it being operated in direct defiance of royal government regulations. The 12-storey building is currently under repair, but on the 6th floor of the building was a secret place where the illegal nightclub had been operating to enable revellers to take drugs and party. When the authorities raided the illegal night spot, they found 3 large rooms organised as a club with scores of partygoers intent on having a good time. This sounds a lot like a song by LMAFO. Anyway, the police arrested a group of people, including 53 Chinese men and 34 Chinese women, as well as confiscating white powders, believed to be either methamphetamine or cocaine. The party people are now waiting for sentencing, and they will not be party rocking for some time to come. 4 Chinese nationals are now behind bars over the deadly collapse of a 7-storey under-construction building in Sihanoukville 2 years ago. The collapse of the building, which was the worst in Cambodian history, killed 28 people and injured 100 others, including women and children. The suspects must have had very good lawyers, as they were only sentenced to 2 to 3 years jail each and ordered to pay $2 million compensation to the victims' family members. It's a very long story and really shows total disregard for the law and people's lives. Full story is in the links in the pinned comment below. A drunken argument between 2 family members ends in murder. A 40-year-old male was drinking with his father-in-law when the 2 men started arguing over land rights. The argument then escalated into blows and culminated with the son-in-law grabbing a nearby axe and striking his father-in-law once, killing him instantly. The murderer then attempted to flee the scene of the crime, but was discovered by local police hiding in a rice barn 150 metres from the murder scene. So if you have an axe to grind, don't raise your issues when you've been drinking. A gang of 18 fake monks who have been fraudulently begging for money have been arrested in Phnom Penh. The bogus holy men were arrested after police received a tip from a local resident that a group of people had rented a house in the New World Beret in Kampot district and were fraudulently seeking alms from local people. The suspects said they had been pretending to be monks for a very long time under the guide of a broker named Meng. They earned 80,000 to 100,000 Riel per day and gave 30,000 to 35,000 Riel each to the merciless broker Meng. The 18 suspects were sent to court to be charged with drug use, illegal activities, and defamation of Buddhism. Another fake monk story. A man was recently outed as a fake monk in what was honestly a very poor attempt, as his long hair and general odd disposition gave him away, and villagers reported him to the local authorities. His day went from bad to worse when his rapid COVID-19 test came back positive. Authorities have urged anyone who has contact with him to get tested. The suspect said he never wanted to arms anyone. In Phnom Penh, violence flared between 2 groups of drunk teenagers at a drinking den. 2 rival groups of up to 15 youths, fueled by alcohol, faced off in an early morning rumble and fought using plastic chairs and shoes. A witness informed police that she had told the youths to shoo, take a seat, and settle down, but that just made things worse. The fracas happened outside the She Bean, which is, according to residents, notorious for selling intoxicating liquor to groups of teenagers. Police were called and immediately booted out the troublemakers. I guess if the shoe fits. A Chinese national and his wife, who was from Myanmar, admitted to possessing, trafficking and producing nearly 60 kilograms of ecstasy during their trial. They were arrested back in April 29 last year when police seized nearly 60 kilos of drugs and paraphernalia. At the trial, they said that they had imported the drugs and precursors from the Laotian border for distributing to users in Cambodia and also exporting some to Vietnam. In more drug news, 15 people were arrested in a drug raid in Phnom Penh. Residents reported the presence of what they described as hippies to the police, and police were quick to act after receiving the tip-off. You would expect hippies to mean that they had some Mary Jane or the old wacky tobacco, but no, the police confiscated 27 grams of what is believed to be methamphetamine. They did also find a large amount of vegan goods, hemp products, and several pairs of elephant pants. Now a very strange story, nearly 8 tonnes, well to be exact, it was 7,551,506.99 grams of various drugs were destroyed by being set ablaze. You've got to check out the article and look at the pictures of this. This is where it gets interesting. You would think, due to the harmful chemicals in the smoke, it would be done well away from the public. But it was set alight at 8:30 a.m. in an open area in front of the Aeon Market 3 along Hun Sen Street. The NACD Secretary-General and Deputy National Police Chief General and some 50 other people were in attendance. Local kebab shops reported the best sales in months that day. In another fire-related story, a major fire damaged at least 120 stalls in Kep's White Horse Market. The fire started around 6 p.m. and the fire brigade was called. They used 8 fire trucks and 40 water trucks to extinguish the blaze. The fire was eventually controlled at 8 p.m. A police source said that the fire was presumed to have been caused by an electrical fault and that 121 stalls were damaged, many severely. In more uplifting news, a British mine clearance worker who was murdered in Cambodia has been honoured with a giant bomb-sniffing rat. Army veteran Christopher Howes was just 36 when he was killed by Khmer Rouge fanatics as he risked his life to clear landmines back in 1996. Chris's sister, Pat Phillips, said it was a fitting tribute to a brave and exceptional man. Naming a rat in memory of a person may sound strange, but these are very special animals and do amazing work. We highly recommend anyone coming to Siem Reap to go to the Apopo Visitor Centre and see the hero rats in action. If you want to, you can donate directly to Apopo, and we'll leave a link to them in the comments. Now on to the percentage section of the news. The Ministry of Public Works and Transport announced that the 38 roads project in Siem Reap City is now 66% complete. The end date has not been announced as yet, but it's expected to be finished in the first quarter of next year. The Apsara Authority reported that restoration of the central tower of the West Top Temple is now at 60% completion. The entire temple is scheduled for complete restoration by March 2022, and the restoration project started back in 2017. Now to the vaccination percentages. As of July the 19th, 6,061,305 people have received at least their first dose, or nearly 61% of the 10 million target. Close to 4.2 million, or 42%, have already been fully vaccinated. Now to Village Idol X Factor International. The government has decided to select 3 model villages to compete in the Best Tourism Village competition. They will compete against other model villages around the world under a scheme dreamed up by the World Tourism Organization. The competition will be organised by the end of August so that Cambodia can submit the 3 entries to the evaluation committee. The criteria for selection has 4 key indicators. How much potential does a village have in terms of tourism? Are the village people involved in tourism activities? That would be wonderful. How much do they care about the preservation of cultural heritage? And finally, how attractive is the village? There are also other detailed indicators or X factors. The victorious village will also be able to become a member of the world's Best Village Network and bring knowledge and development experience to help other villages in Cambodia. And to finish off this week's News Moto, we have our What Were They Thinking story. 14 Cambodian migrant workers were caught recently trying to return to Cambodia in a fake ambulance. The provincial police of Chanthaburi province intercepted a vehicle at the checkpoint in Thailand. When police examined the ambulance, they found that it was just a normal minivan with ambulance written on the front and rear. Upon further inspection, police found 14 Cambodian migrant workers inside, including 9 adults and 5 children. They were being smuggled to the Thai-Cambodia border by 3 Thai nationals who were dressed in full PPE and disguised as emergency medical staff to deceive officials. Investigators have determined that the 3 suspects were hired to transport the Cambodians from Bang Bon district in Bangkok, which is a red area and under strict COVID control. The Thai nationals received 25,000 baht to smuggle the Cambodians across the border. The 14 Cambodians have been detained at a field hospital, and hopefully they'll all test negative and be allowed to return home soon. That's it for the news this week. Links to all of the stories we've mentioned and a few more are included in the comments section. I'll leave them in the pinned comment down there. If you're interested in finding out a bit more detail, you can go to the source and read the stories for yourself. Thank you so much for watching. It is our pleasure to have you here, and we appreciate every last one of you. Look out for our video on the weekend. We've got something a little bit different coming up, and we hope to see you then. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.